Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're going to give it just a minute or two more to let a couple other people hop on, and then we'll get started. So hang tight. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. There's been some more people joining, so it's a good time to get everything rolling. So hi, everybody, and thank you for joining. Welcome to our monthly Merit webinar. We're going to get started with giving some introductions of the DCYF staff that are on the phone call with us tonight. So I'll start. My name is Mallory Lopez, and I'm on the professional development team at the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. Shayna, do you want to say hi?
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Shayna Steinhauer, also on the professional development team.
Hi, this is Marlene. Hi, this is Marlene with the professional development too.
And hi, I'm Alex May, also on the professional team. I'm the product owner for the Registry Merit.
Great, thanks everybody. So welcome, and thank you guys all again for joining us. Before we dig into the content and the meat of our time together tonight, I just wanted to take a moment to kind of share a little overview of what we'll be going over for our hour tonight and talk a little bit about this webinar series that we're doing, as well as just note a couple of housekeeping things for our time together. So today we're really going to be focusing on the professional record and merit. We'll go through, talk about the different data that's recorded there, how to upload certain things and whatnot. If this is your first time joining us, we're super excited to have you here. We are offering one webinar a month at this time, usually I think it's the third Thursday of each month. And each webinar we go over a different piece of merit. So we started last month with our first webinar. We talked about really the basics of merit, getting started, getting set up with an account, getting a STARS ID. Tonight, like I mentioned, we'll be going into the professional record, and then we have some other topics planned for the rest of the year. And so each webinar is recorded. We house them on our website. So if you know someone who wasn't able to attend today but really wanted to get this information, we'll make sure to share you or show you the website with this and with the links to these recorded webinars at the end of tonight, as well as give you contact information and some opportunity to give feedback too as well. So as we go through, because we have a large number of attendees on the phone, we're gonna keep everybody muted. If you have questions, there is a questions or chat box in the little GoToWebinar panel on your screen, and so feel free to put any questions in there. We'll make sure to take breaks as we go through, and we'll read questions, answer them here. And if we miss any questions, we'll make sure to follow up with you all afterwards. We have your email since you registered for tonight, so we'll be able to follow up with any questions that we missed. And like I said, we'll be going into the professional record today. And before I pass that over to Shayna, I just also wanted to let you guys know that at the end of our time tonight, Marlene will share a little bit more about the plan for the rest of the year with the webinar, some topics that will be coming up, opportunities for feedback, like I mentioned. So make sure you stay on for that opportunity. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Shayna to get us started. Shayna, are you there?
Yeah, I was just waiting to have it pass over to my screen. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, we can see it. And if you guys are not seeing the merit screen, just if you can mention that in the questions or chat section and just let us know. But it looks like it's showing.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to give an overview of merits. This is the sign-in page. So I'm using a test account tonight. So let me just log in here. So when you log in, the very first page, once it finishes loading, the very first page is the My Record tab. And what the My Record tab has is an application section and a early care and education and school age professional section. The application section is going to show you what applications are in progress. So those are applications that you have not submitted yet. The submitted for review section is going to show you all pending applications, and the completed section are all processed applications. So those could be withdrawn, those could be approved. It depends, and I'll show you where you can find additional information on the status of the applications once we go to the professional record tab. This section right here is going to show you your initial training requirement and whether or not you've met that. If you have, it would say child care basics or educational exemption there. And then right here, the annual continuing education training, that is going to show you how many hours you've completed in 2018 and in 2019. Something that may be helpful for you also is that there's contact information down below right here. So feel free, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us using that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the professional record tab. That's right underneath the My Record. Okay, so the first section of the professional record tab is your professional data. So I want to go over what information can be updated by you and what information is locked, and how you can request that information be updated if needed. So first we'll go over what is not locked. It's things that you can go in here and you can update on your own. So you can update the primary language, which is required for you to select. You can update the secondary language, which is not required. Then if we go over here, you can list your ethnicity and your race. Those are not required fields. So feel free, if you do not want to fill that out, you are not required to. You can update your username, and I would advise first coming down here to the contact information section and updating your primary email first, and then coming back up to the top and you can update your username here. Just since we're going over information that is not locked, I'm going to scroll down here to show you this as well. So under the contact information, all of these fields can be updated. So your primary email, you'll want to make sure that that email is an email that you have access to. There's automatic emails that are sent out to you in regards to your portable background check, any applications that you submit. So you want to make sure that you have access to that email. And then you can add an additional email that's not a required field. And then you'll want to list your contact phone number or your cell phone or both, depending on what works best for you. And then the last bit of information here is your mailing address. So that can be updated by you as well. You just log in here, update your mailing address. Something to keep in mind is, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but if you need to obtain a statewide vendor number, the mailing address on your merit account and the mailing address you list on that statewide vendor number have to match in order to receive, or statewide vendor number forms have to match in order to obtain a statewide vendor number. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back up to the top to go over what is locked and how you can request that information be updated. So your first and last name, as well as if you were to have a middle name, that would be locked as well. Both of those are locked. So in order to have that information updated, you would need to send a copy of your ID to the Merit email address. That email is merit@dcyf.wa.gov. So feel free to attach your ID. That can be an out-of-state or in-state driver's license or ID, a passport, a few other options as well. So if you're wondering if another ID would work, feel free to just email it into us and we can let you know. We do not need your ID to update your middle name. So you can just send us an email to let us know if you want your middle name deleted or if it needs to be changed. Same with your gender. You just need to email us and let us know if you entered in the incorrect gender and you need that updated. Middle name and gender, we don't need the ID for that. And then as we go down here, we're going to go over the statewide vendor number now. So the statewide vendor number is a number that you need to have in order for us to send you an approved payment. An approved payment would be a training reimbursement or an education award, which those two things we'll get into in later webinars. But if you have an approved payment on your individual Merit accounts, you need to have a statewide vendor number on your individual account, and we will be sending out information on where you can obtain the forms and the instructions to fill out those forms. Just
so
some
Shana,
information. Yeah.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. I just want to attach it, but I wanted to mention, so that mailing address, if you're receiving any kind of training reimbursement funds from us or perhaps an education award, Shana will explain more later, but if you're not receiving those funds via direct deposit, that mailing address is where you're going to actually be receiving the check for your award or reimbursement funds. So it is very important that you keep that updated every time that rolls around for you.
Yes, thank you for that. And then I just wanted to give a brief overview. So once you send in your statewide vendor number forms, it takes 1 to 3 weeks for your SWV number to show up on your Merit account. If it does not show up on your Merit account, feel free to reach out to the finance team. Their email is dcyf.finance@dcyf.wa.gov. And there may be an issue with your form, so you can verify that they have received your forms and just getting clarification on if there's any issues. Once you receive your statewide vendor number, it takes 1 to 3 weeks to receive an approved payment. And like Alex mentioned, you can receive your approved payment by check or by direct deposit. It depends on what option you choose when filling out the statewide vendor number form. So now that we've gone over that, I want to move over to your portable background check. And sorry, just backtrack a little bit. I forgot to mention that if you entered your date of birth incorrectly, we would also need a copy of your ID to update your date of birth. So first name, last name, and date of birth, we need a copy of your ID sent to the Merit inbox, and we can go ahead and update that for you, and we will notify you once that's updated. And the reason why that's so important is that if you submit a portable background check, in order for you not to have that background check withdrawn or put in you want to make sure that the first name and last name and date of birth match what is listed on your ID, so that if you are required to get fingerprints, you won't run into any issues there. So as you can see for the portable background check status, right now it says no application received. That means that I have not submitted an portable background check application. And if you were to see the status withdrawn, that means that your application was withdrawn. It'll show you the date that it was withdrawn and that you may reapply. If you're wondering why your application was withdrawn, you'll want to contact the background check team at backgroundcheck@dcyf.wa.gov, and they can provide you more information. If you were to have submitted a portable background check, it would say submitted, the date and time it was submitted, and that it would be in process. And then if your portable background check were to expire, as a background check is only valid for 3 years, once that 3-year date comes up, it will show an expired status. You can renew your portable background check before it expires, and we strongly advise you to do that so that with your job you don't run into any issues there. If you have additional questions about the portable background check application, we'll be showing you where the webinars are listed on our DCYF website, and we go into more detail in that webinar. And there's timestamps listed, so if you only want to obtain information about the portable background check application, it tells you what time to go to in that webinar. So I just want to stop here real quick and see if there's any questions. So Al, do you have anything?
No, but again, if you have any questions, go ahead and type that into the questions box there, and I'll just monitor that as we go. And again, we'll take pauses every now and again to make sure that we address all of them, and we will address all of them either in this hour that we have or via email if it's complicated or more time consuming than the time we have allotted.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so we're just going to go down to the substitute pool participation. So this is a box that you can check if you are interested in being a substitute. So you would check this box right here, and if you do check that box, a substitute pool administrator will reach out to you from the Imagine Institute, and then they'll be, if you have any questions, you can ask them, and they'll be able to assist you through the process of becoming being in the substitute pool. And there's also a link to our website, the DCYF website, with additional information about that. And then right here, it'll show your substitute pool status, and then your orientation status as well. So I'm just going to scroll down to the former name information section. This is really simple. If you have a former name, then you can click on this Add Former Name button right here. And once that loads, it will show the first name, middle name, and last name fields. You'll just enter in any former names there. You can either hit save or add another if you have additional former names to enter. And once you do enter those, it'll be listed just like this right here. So that is the former name information section. Again, the contact information and mailing address are fields that you can edit or update on from your account. So feel free to do that if you need to. So we're going to go down to the health and safety information section. So there are some health and safety trainings that are required of you that you can find per the WAC, or you can ask your employer, or if you are a director, you can ask your licensor. So if you have a health and safety training to add, you'll click here to add health and safety information. And what you're going to see is a drop-down box. And this lists all of the different trainings that you can choose from to add to your Merit account. So once you were, say you were to finish Safe Sleep, you would enter in the date that that was completed. So I'm going to say February 1st, and you'll see that the expiration date automatically populates for you. So you don't need to worry about entering in the expiration dates. There are some trainings like the, I'll just show you, for example, the TB skin test, where there's only a completion date and there is no expiration date, as that does not expire. Just so that you know, confirmed box being checked is something that your employer can do from their facility site tab. If your information is verified, that means that a licensor or a merit administrator verified that you completed this health and safety training. So let's just say that we're going to save that. So then it populates right here. You can see the completion date. As you can see, there's no expiration date. So once so say that this basic standard first aid training were to expire, then you need to take that training again, you would just click here to add health and safety information again and enter in your new training. Okay, so now we're going to go to the employment section. So this is early care and education / school age employment information section. If you work at an ECAP site, a Head Start site, a licensed child care center, school age center, family child care home, what you would do is you would click here to add employment. And once that loads, a box will pop up. So you would choose what type of program you're in. There's also FFN, military, and tribal child care. So pick the program that pertains to you. So let's say that we're in a child care center. Then the job title is going to populate. So you'll pick from one of these options. If your license is still pending, so say you want to be a director or you're an owner of a new facility and you are going through the licensing orientation and you have a pending license status, you would need to choose the job title, I am currently applying. This will pull up any pending sites. If you were to choose director, then and your site is in a pending status, then you will not be, the site will not populate for you. So let's just say that we are currently applying, just to show you. It'll go over to the next tab, which is employer search. So if we were to type in a facility, let's say Scribbles, and we're going to click on the go, that'll populate a list of sites down here below. And as you can see, the license status or provider status that I was referring to, for this site, it is open. And let's see here. So you can obtain a provider ID number, also known as a license number. This number is attached to your site and is a number that you can also use to add employment. So instead of listing the name here, you could type in the provider or license number, and that will also populate the site. It can be a little tricky sometimes searching for the facility site name. I would advise using keywords in order to pull up that site because it has to match exactly what's listed in the licensing system. And then if you are a licensee or you work at a family child care home, you would type in the licensee's last name only or first name only to populate a family child care home site, as the name attached is not the business name, it's what's listed in the licensing system, and in the licensing system for family child care homes, it's the first name and the last name. And let's see, I want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. So if you work at an ECAP or Head Start site, you can only populate the site by the name. So feel free to talk with your employer, or you can reach out to your ECAP specialist and they can assist you with locating your site. If you do have any issues adding your employment, feel free to contact us and we can assist you with adding that information. Something that's helpful if you do need assistance is providing us with the provider or license number, the name of the site and the address, as well as your job title and start date. So if we were to be at Scribbles and Giggles Learning Center, we would click on the select button. And then right here, it shows our job titles I'm currently applying. It shows the address of the site, the provider, the provider ID, the license start date, and the license end date, which is current. If there's no license end date listed there. So we would enter in our start date, say that we started on February 4th. We only want to enter in an employment end date if we no longer work at the site. If we are currently working at the site, we don't want to enter any information there. So what we will do is we will hit save. And what that does is it lists it right here for us to see. And if you were to click on this edit button, the only information that you can change is the employment end date. So if you were to say this was a pending license status and our site is now open, we would end date the employment as I am currently applying, and you would add employment with a job title that pertains to you. Something else that I want to add is if you are a FFN provider, you will also search for your site by first name or last name only. If you are unable to locate your employment, you would want to contact the FFN team at dcyf.ffn@dcyf.wa.gov. Again, if you have any issues with adding your employment, feel free to reach out to us and we can assist you further. I do want to stop here for a moment and see if there's any questions. So Al, do you have any questions yet?
No, just I'll reiterate a couple things. So if you're working in a family child care home, again, it's the name of the license holder, so first or last name to locate that family home provider. If you're working in a licensed child care center, you're going to enter the business name. Now, if you have a job title like I am currently applying and say you got a license or maybe the job title is just incorrect, your employer can actually change that information for you, but anyone on the professional development team can also do that for you as well. If you need to change your job title, again, the contact information for that is the same, and it's going to be at the bottom of the screen.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next section is the other employment section. So if you have any employment, yeah.
Hey, can we take a question? Yes, there was another question, so I just want to make sure that we have time to answer that. So it looks like there was a question about giving merit tutorials to staff. So I'm just pulling up the question, and I'll just read it here. It's from a director who's interested in providing a tutorial of merit to her facility or to her staff. And I would say we're definitely interested in figuring out how to provide resources to the field in ways exactly like this director is mentioning. So Kelly, we can follow up with you offline and connect to see how we might meet your needs in a way that's suitable for your team. So we'll get in touch with you.
Right. Sorry, Mel. So if it's content specific about merit too, please let us know. There's probably going to be some kind of area specific document that we can provide you as far as what your question might be as far as specific training. But if there is a need, I would encourage anyone on the call to, for a specific thing, to type it in the chat box, and we definitely want to take your feedback into consideration for the next webinar or documentation that we put out about some kind of process or policy.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Mel, for bringing that up. So as long as there's no other questions, I'll go ahead and go to the other employment section. So what you would do if you have any employment that you can't add up here and you want to have listed on your merit account is you would click here to add employment, and you can, all of these are open fields, so you can enter in your employer, their contact phone number, the start and end date at that employment, the address if you would like to, job title, and the position description. So this is not required information. It's just an option if you are interested. Okay, so now we are down here at the training history. So just to go over what each of these sections is for. So the initial basic training is going to be child care basics. So there are a few roles that are required to complete a child care basics training. There are also other ways to meet the initial basic training requirements. And if you have questions about that, feel free to reach out to us and we can go into detail further. And then the annual continuing education training, these are STARS hour trainings that you can that you have received that lists the amount of STARS hours for each training. So for 2017, there are 80 hours listed here, and they'll list the hours of each training. You can also submit college coursework to potentially obtain STARS hours, and there is also a continuing education proposal to potentially obtain STARS hours as well. And we will be going over those applications in further webinars. And then the last section, other trainings completed, these are trainings that are not worth STARS hours. For example, the electronic attendance, if you are required to complete that training, as well as a few others. So the way that these trainings are listed in your account is you go to a training and say you complete that training on January 1st. So the trainer that offered that training to you has 30 days to list that training on your Merit account. That training is not listed on your Merit account within that 30-day time period. You would want to reach out to the trainer to assist you with getting that information listed on your account. If you are not sure how to contact the trainer, we can go back up to the top and I'll show you that there's a Find Training tab that you can search for trainers' contact information on that tab. And you can also reach out to our training team at training@dcyf.wa.gov with your certificates if you have any questions. Again, feel free to reach out to the Merit team or the training team if you have any questions about how to locate a training, or there's a training that's missing from your account and we can assist you. I do want to stop here as well and see if there's any questions. Al, are there any questions?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, but again, go ahead. It's the chat box. It's usually located on the right of your screen. So I'm not seeing anything coming in. Again, okay. Yeah, questions. We'll answer all of them. If you feel more comfortable, sending them via email, we will get back to you as well in that platform.
Perfect. Okay, so just to show you where that Find Training tab is, we're going to go up to the top, and I'll just show you where that's located. So this is the Find Training tab. You do not need to be logged in to view this tab. It is listed on the sign in and registration page. So feel free to look around on that tab, and we'll be going over how to locate trainings and what is listed on that tab in a future webinar as well. So I have gone over the My Record and the Professional Record tab, so I just want to make sure that there are no other questions before we end the webinar.
So I'll say one more thing. So I guess again,
Yeah.
This is only our second webinar. The first thing we covered was the registration and applying for a STARS ID. You're seeing one page of Merit after that application has been submitted. So all your personal information that you entered into the STARS ID application is basically what we're looking at today. But if you have a question about a tab or a application or something, go ahead, type it into that chat box, because we really want to know what we need to cover next. I mean, people have specific questions, and if we're doing this once a month, and if we're only focusing on one specific thing, that's okay. So go ahead, type it in, tell us what you want to know specifically. We can spend a whole hour on it if you really want us to. But yeah, nothing's off limits. So go ahead, please go ahead and type in the questions. And thanks very much.
Yeah, and while you are typing in any questions, one last thing I want to go over is that you can print off your professional record page. So you'll just go over to this print button right here. You can either save that to your computer or you can print it out, depending on what you want to do. Yeah, we're just going to wait just a couple minutes to see if any questions come in. Okay, so while those possible questions come in, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Marlene. She's going to go over a few things with you.
Hi, yes, okay, let's go. So let me know if you can see my screen, guys.
Yep.
Okay, great. So we do have all of the webinars listed on our website. So if you ever want to access any of them, this is where they're at. And I'm going to take you from our homepage to show you how to get here. And let's hope I get it correct. So you go to Services for Providers, Professional Development. You scroll down, and you can go Merit. And then right here, the last tab is Newsletters and Webinars. And right now, we just started them, so we currently only have one webinar up from January, Getting Started in Merit. And like Shannon mentioned earlier, I put all the time markers on here. So if you are just interested in, you know, how to register in Merit, you don't want to listen to any of the intros, you just go straight to 8 minutes and 32 seconds. We will be putting this webinar up. It should be up early next week. And the other thing I wanted to point out in this page is we are also, you know, part of our like engagement strategy is providing more information on what we do as a professional development team. So we have a quarterly newsletter that is also listed here. So we have a professional development newsletter, and we have a couple state-approved trainer newsletters if you're a state-approved trainer. The quarterly newsletter includes program updates, initiatives in regards to professional development. And if you're interested in signing up for that newsletter, you know, you can learn about other upcoming learning opportunities, job announcements with our team, etc. And my contact info is here, but I will also bring it up in a second. So I just want to let you guys know, like we said earlier, we are going to be having these regular webinars every third Tuesday of every month. Save the date for the next one, which is Tuesday, March 19th. And for everybody listening on the phone right now, or if you signed up for the webinar and I have your email address, I will be following up with this information. The webinar that we're going to be doing on Tuesday is going to go over the education application process in Merit. So we're going to talk about how to submit an education application, how to get your education verified, and if anyone has any foreign degrees, how we're going to go over the steps on how to complete that. This is all my contact information, and I speak Spanish. So these webinars right now, I mean, they're live, so they're not in Spanish. we are looking into seeing how we can getting them interpreted. But if anyone has a question, or any Spanish speakers that tune in and don't know what we're saying, you're welcome to call me. Me pueden hablar, and I will help you out, or I will find out the answer if I don't know it. And I will be following up with everyone, like I said, with the list of all the Merit webinar dates that we currently have scheduled, all the website links that we mentioned during this webinar, and all the contact info that we mentioned. There were several emails that we mentioned, like the training inbox and whatnot, as well as a really quick 6-question survey. So if you're on the webinar right now, like, we would love for you to take that and provide any feedback. And for anyone that's tuning into this webinar at a later date and you don't receive this information by email, here's my contact information on the screen. So jot that down and feel free to email me if you're curious to see what the current participants received, and I will follow up with you on that. Does anybody have any questions about that? Or I don't see any in the chat box.
Okay, so I see a couple of questions. Let me go ahead and go through them. I was answering them by chat, but let me, for the sake of time, let me go back to them. So there was a question about, is there a way that Merit could be able to calculate our training by anniversary dates, like how the licensors calculate them? So with that, I personally can definitely look into that. I know it's a little different between family homes and child care centers, and the reason being is that professionals like yourself are able to carry up to 5 hours from the year prior to the current year. And as far as organizing them in a way that you can see what you can completed by calendar year, that throws a wrench into that. But if you're just looking for a way to more, or an easier way to look at them and interpret them, then yes, that's definitely something that we're already looking into. So the other question I see here is that can I be a part of Merit even though I'm working as a paraeducator under a school district? The answer is yes. There's no requirement that you have to be currently employed in any kind of child care facility to get into Merit and register for a STARS ID and document your education credentials. And I'm sure that you have paraeducator requirements, just the same as any child care professional. So yeah, go ahead and register. Like I said, even if you never entered the child care field, that information is not going to go away. You can always go back in there and rejoin years in the future. So let's say you don't touch your Merit record for a couple of years, that's fine. Go ahead and request that we put your information in there if you have any training that you've completed as far as being related to your position, and that will stay intact for the duration of the registry being around. Okay, so I did see another question here. How does it work when the assistant works for more than one provider? Okay, so let's see here. So if you're in a position where you're working in multiple facilities, and maybe even in a different capacity, maybe you have a different job position, that works totally fine too. So as long as you have entered the employment information for the 2 places or more that you work at, any kind of education credentials or training certificates, so long as that you've entered that employment record, will be shared with your employer. So it's not like you have to duplicate any work as far as redocumenting your education or training. Anything that you put into that Merit record, so long as you've accurately put in your employment information, those 2 employers can see the credentials that you have and any kind of professional development success that you've had as well. I think that was the last one so far. So if you want to conclude, that's okay.
And I just want to close up saying we will be emailing everybody who joined today's webinar. I have all your emails if you registered, And we're going to follow up with all the contact info and a survey. And at that point, if you do have additional questions, feel free to send them to me. Or if you have any ideas in regards to topics that we should cover during these merit webinars, like Alex said earlier, we are definitely welcome to feedback, and we would love it if you would provide feedback.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining, and we hope to see you next month. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.